Good evening. We're going to start the Planning Commission meeting on January 21st, 2026. I would like to call the meeting at 6:04 p.m., 6:03 p.m. Roll call, please.
Chair Hamadi,
Here?
Vice Chair Wolbert,
I'm here.
Commissioner Anderson,
Here.
Commissioner Nguyen. Chair, you have a quorum.
Great. Would you like to join me to salute the flag, please? Place your hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May you be seated. Report from Planning Secretary.
Chair, I have nothing to report.
None. Okay, we go to ex parte communication. Anything? Nothing?
No.
Nothing? Okay. Go next. Number 5 will be to a special presentation or oral communication. I don't see anybody here, but no? We'll still read it anyway, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do it, no choice. This is the time of the meeting that members of the public may address the Planning Commission on matters of public interest, which pertain to the city and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. Members of the public wishing to address public hearing items shall do so at the time of the public hearing, unless extended by a majority vote of the Planning Commission. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. To address the Planning Commission, please complete a blue request to speak form that is provided at the entrance to the City Council chamber and submit the form to the Planning Commission clerk. When your name is called, please step to the podium at that time and state your name and city of residence for the record. Thanks. Do we have any?
Chair, we have no speakers.
Okay. I guess we go to the next one. Approval of minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes, all 4 of them, August 6th, December 3rd, December 17th, and January 7th.
I second.
Okay, before we, Chair, just wanted to point out on page 2 of the December 3rd minutes, at the bottom of the page, I had asked a question, and then Principal Planner Fitchelman responded, but it didn't say what his response was. I had a question about whether or not the plans would be reviewed, and the staff would would visit Lavender to confirm that the plans were in conformance with what was there, and there's no response as to what that was. So if we could get a correction to that, please.
For what minutes were those?
Pardon?
December 3rd.
On the bottom of page 2 of December 3rd, where it says Principal Planner Fitchelman responded, I'd like to know what he said. I'd like that for the record, what he said, so we don't know what he said, so you might have to check with him, but I think that's important. He didn't answer my question,
We'll revisit that.
at least according to the minutes. Thank you.
Don, would you, Chair, if you don't mind, can I ask Commissioner Anderson? Okay. Don, do you want to poll December 3rd and send that back to Planning Department so that they can review it and add, I mean, they can review the YouTube video and add those in. So
Yeah,
should we
that'd
pull
be-
December 3rd out?
Yes.
Okay. So then, Chair, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to change my motion.
Go for it.
So I recommend that we poll December 3rd's minutes from the vote tonight and send it back so they can add those responses in. So my motion to approve August 6th, December 17th, and January 7th.
Okay, I second for it. Roll call.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Wolbert, second by Chair Hamadi, to approve the regular minutes of August 6th, 2025, December 17th, 2025, and January 7th, 2026 meeting cancellation. Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Nguyen? Yes. Vice Chair Wolbert?
Yes.
Chair Hamadi?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion carried.
We're going to move to a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak on an open public hearing should complete a blue request to speak form that is provided at the entrance of the council chambers and submit the form to the Planning Commission clerk. When your name is called, please step to the podium and state your name and city of residence for the record. Each attendee will have 3 minutes to comment on each public hearing item. The applicant or their designee will have 12 minutes to speak and will also be provided a 3 minutes rebuttal. With exception to the applicant or designee, all attendees may only speak once. The Planning Commission may use its discretion to allow a speaker to exceed the allotted time or may ask a speaker to return to answer additional questions. We have 8.1 case number 2025-0232. Would like to call staff?
Good evening, Chair Hamade and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Stephanie Tomaino, Contract Principal Planner on behalf of the Community Development Department. So over the years, since 2022, the City Council has engaged in a strategic planning effort which involves identifying 3-year goals and selecting short-term objectives to advance progress towards these goals. As part of this effort, the City Council identified select city-owned parcels adjacent to the 405 freeway as potential locations for billboards. This long-term effort involves several City Council actions which are summarized in this slide and in your staff report. This includes issuing a request for proposals for the use of city-owned real property to develop, construct, operate, and maintain electronic billboards. In 2023, following the RFP process, the City Council selected Branded Cities as their preferred operator, and later a lease agreement was signed. A copy of the City Council staff report with details on the lease agreement was provided as attachment 2. Earlier this year, the City Council adopted zoning text amendments to establish new signage regulations for billboards. Now, billboards have been an existing sign type allowed in the city for many years, but the new billboard ordinance established new development, design, and operational standards for this type of sign. Most recently, the City Council adopted resolutions directing staff to prepare this city-owned site for future use and development, which is indicated with the yellow star. This included, City Council direction included providing authorization to staff to remove the site's public right-of-way designation, establishing a permanent assessor's parcel number, and assigning the site appropriate zoning and land use designations consistent with the commercial industrial uses. More information can be found in the City Council agenda from its regular meeting on December 10th, 2025. The subject property is approximately 21,000 square feet in area and is located off Edward Street. The site is currently vacant and undeveloped. It has a temporary chain link fence that was installed previously by Caltrans during their freeway construction. You can kind of see it closer to the freeway overpass. Surrounding land uses include multifamily residential development to the north, a vacant undeveloped parcel immediately to the west, and recreational uses to the east, including Buckingham Park. Here is a photo taken from the site itself. This photo illustrates the proximity of the project site to the nearby freeway overpass. As you can see, the city-owned parcel is vacant and will be developed. In speaking with the Public Works Department, they indicated that a heavy-duty fence will be constructed around the perimeter of the site later this year. Additional site improvements will be undertaken by the city, including installing curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Storage containers will be utilized to support the city's future maintenance functions. These site improvements are subject to separate approval through the city's capital improvement plan and budgeting process. Provided here is a preliminary site plan for the city's future maintenance facility. Moving on to the proposed billboard and the CUP application that is presented to the Planning Commission for consideration tonight. The proposed structure would be 90 feet in height with 2 LED display panels measuring 20 feet by 60 feet each. The panels are mounted in a V-shaped configuration on a single support column, allowing the billboard to be visible to both northbound and southbound traffic on the 405 freeway. Pictured here is the applicant's site plan detailing the location of the proposed billboard on the city-owned parcel. This slide shows the proposed elevation and overall design of the proposed billboard, which is provided in attachment 4 to your staff report. The billboard consists of 2 digital display faces, again, each measuring 20 feet by 60 feet, which are arranged in a V-shaped configuration and oriented towards northbound and southbound freeway traffic. The sign is supported by a single column with an architectural pole cover, which is finished in a light gray tone. The city's logo would be displayed on both sides of the column. This page is intended to illustrate the general scale, materials, and appearance of the proposed billboard. Overall, the project does comply with the design and development standards within the city's approved billboard ordinance. This table further details how the project complies with all requirements of the billboard ordinance. It is located on an industrial parcel adjacent to the 405 freeway and more than 200 feet away from the nearest occupied residential structure. The applicant proposes to construct the billboard at the maximum height and dimensions allowed by the code. Specifically, the zoning code allows billboards to be 90 feet in height and up to 1,200 square feet in area per sign face. The applicant is requesting to construct their billboard at the maximum allowances. The billboard ordinance allows a maximum height of 90 feet if the applicant demonstrates that the height is necessary and appropriate. As required by the code, the applicant submitted photo simulations comparing a 90-foot design with a 80-foot design. So this is included in 2 different attachments to your staff report. So I believe that's attachments 4 and 5. So let's see, staff reviewed these materials and existing site conditions. For example, there are several tall structures that obstruct the visibility of the proposed billboard, such as the nearby freeway overpass, which is pictured in this specific rendering. Based on this review of all of the materials submitted by the applicant, staff determined that the 90-foot height is reasonable and justified to provide clear visibility from the freeway. Project renderings also show that the sign would not introduce significant adverse aesthetic impacts along this segment of the corridor. To further justify the proposed 90-foot height, the applicant prepared a line-of-sight analysis and submitted renderings from 13 different vantage points, which are illustrated in attachment 4. In other words, this shows what the billboard would look like from 13 different locations nearby, and those locations do show a variety of different properties: residential, commercial, industrial, as well as open space. Again, this is provided as attachment 4. Based on the materials provided by the applicant, staff determined that adding this sign does not result in an overconcentration, and overall the project is compatible with its surroundings. The applicant's sign manufacturer prepared a lighting study. To provide an independent review of that lighting study, the city retained a lighting consultant to peer review the study. The city's consultant confirmed that the billboard would meet the brightness thresholds established by the city, Caltrans, and California Vehicle Code. At the bottom of this slide is the specific lighting standard that was adopted by the city's billboard ordinance. So looking at the table that is provided in the lighting study and was peer-reviewed by the city's outside lighting consultant, it demonstrates that the proposed billboard would be below the standard for brightness levels, which is specifically 0.3-foot candle threshold. The city's lighting consultant also found that the sign's orientation and use of light sensors would minimize visibility from nearby residential areas and reduce glare for motorists. Although the project complies with lighting standards which are established in the billboard ordinance, the consultant recommended several additional operating restrictions. All of those recommendations that were provided by the lighting consultant have been incorporated into the conditions of approval. The following map was prepared to assist the Planning Commission in understanding the distribution of billboards in the city. The blue dots show pending billboards in the city, which are in various phases of review, permitting, and construction, or I'm sorry, just under various stages of review. The yellow dots show all of the approved and constructed billboards, which can either have static or digital displays. This map only shows billboards with off-site advertising. So, for example, on-site premise signs, such as pole signs, are not on this map. The proposed billboard is shown next to the green arrow. In accordance with the municipal code, notices of tonight's public hearing were mailed to all property owners and occupants within 500 feet of the site. Notices were also posted on the project site itself, at city facilities, and on the city's website. One public comment was received regarding the project, and copies have been provided at the commissioner dais. The project was evaluated for compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. The billboard is exempt from CEQA because it qualifies for a Class 3 categorical exemption for new construction of small structures. In conclusion, the proposed billboard complies with all location development and design standards of the zoning code. A condition of approval will require the project to comply with the ongoing operational and maintenance standards which are established in the code. The applicant has provided visual exhibits and written documentation to demonstrate that the proposed billboard height is justified. The project is compatible with its industrial freeway setting, and it will not create adverse safety or lighting impacts to surrounding uses. Therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the project through the adoption of the attached resolution with the included conditions of approval. This concludes staff's presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any question? Go ahead.
Just a comment, Stephanie. Thank you for sending me the copy of the notice of the public hearing, and I read that, and where it states that the sign would be oriented towards northbound and southbound traffic along the Interstate 405 freeway, I-405. But I think it would have been helpful if that description had gone on to state the billboards will also be visible from some residences and surface streets. That is a fact. So that might have generated some more interest in this public hearing if that had been there. And so since there are pending billboards that may be coming to the Planning Commission, I think that would be helpful to the community to have an opportunity to give input. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment, Commissioner Anderson. We can certainly incorporate that feedback into future public hearing notices for all future proposed billboards.
Thank you.
I have a question. So this digital sign, it been tested and, like not to impair the public health. So it been tested already, like a year or two, something like that. Because I'm afraid that when the light coming on, they reflects, and whoever live around there, they may deflect their health at the night times because of the light. So they've been tested. It would have no problem. It's going to be fine, But I afraid that we have to spend more time to testing it.
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Nguyen. As far as potential impacts to motorists, I will say that the technology for electronic billboard technology, it has evolved quite a bit. There are, when you drive down the freeway and in Orange County, Westminster, and beyond, you'll see a number of different signs of different ages. And yes, I think in the past that technology had not advanced to the point where it could create that extra glare and potentially create that kind of lighting impact to motorists. But it has evolved quite a bit now where you can really direct the lighting towards the freeway, and it's really evolved to the point where it does minimize glare and potential impacts and creating those spillover effects. But that being said, there are these ongoing operational restrictions that are included within the city's billboard ordinance. It's further reiterated through the California, or not the California Vehicle Code, but through different Caltrans and state standards. So there are a lot of ways that the city can continue enforcing those rules in the future. And I think one thing to further mention is that with the billboard ordinance, all billboard operators are required to obtain some sort of agreement with the city. In this case, a lease agreement was already executed between Branded Cities and the City Council in 2023, and that further prescribes in very, very great detail what the responsibilities are of the billboard operator. And it does hold them to a much higher standard, especially when you have that operating or development agreement, beyond simply the conditions that are laid out within the Muni Code.
Yeah, I saw the design, beautiful and lit, beautiful, and they have no impact to human being. So it's good to be one.
I have a couple questions. What is the current zone designation for that parcel?
It is M1 Industrial.
Okay, it's M1 Industrial, and that's city-owned, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and you flashed a couple of pictures up on the screen of the fenced-off area with the chain link fence, and that property looks like it's severely under-maintained at this point by the city. Weeds, trash, all kinds of stuff all over the property. In the conditional use permit, is there any provision for who's going to be responsible for maintaining the rest of the property?
So with regard to future maintenance of the site, overall, the billboard itself will be maintained by the billboard operator. But that being said, I do want to clarify that the city-owned parcel, there are going to be additional functions beyond the proposed billboard. So the billboard itself, it really only makes up a portion of the overall city parcel. So in terms of future maintenance and use of the site, the predominant use of the site will be utilized by city staff, and specifically the Public Works Department, who has indicated a desire to utilize it for maintenance purposes. In the future, that could change, all subject to future city approvals, but as far as just ongoing site maintenance, that will be handled through the city's Public Works Department.
So the lease is only for whatever it is, a 10-foot by 10-foot rectangle of space, correct? Up into the sky.
I believe so. I think that question can also be clarified by our applicant in the evening tonight. I
Okay.
think he would be able to clarify the specific provisions of that lease agreement.
So the M1 zoning meets with the billboard code or the billboard ordinance that we passed not too long ago. You also mentioned heavy-duty fence. And when you said that, is that the city that's going to be putting up a, quote, heavy-duty fence? Or is that something that's on the responsibility of the applicant?
The city will be installing that fence. This is based on my conversation with the city's Public Works Department. I was trying to understand the timeline and just distinguishing the responsibilities of construction and maintenance between the city as well as the billboard operator. But again, I do want to clarify that the billboard only comprises a portion of the overall site. So in speaking with our Public Works Department, I understand because the billboard is a portion of the site, it wouldn't be appropriate to ask the billboard operator to construct a fence along the entire parcel, since they are only occupying and using a portion of that parcel. So the city will be taking the lead on that. I understand, based on what was conveyed by the Public Works Department, that they are looking to install a perimeter fence within the next couple of months. But again, that is subject to the city's budgeting process.
But the billboard operator is not going to be required to provide any kind of security for their particular structure.
That's correct.
Okay. And I know we had talked about the max sign face, and the billboard ordinance is 1,200 square feet. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat
So
that
the
question?
billboard ordinance that is in current city code, the maximum LED square footage is 1,200 square feet, a 20 by 60 face.
That is correct.
Does the billboard ordinance include 2 faces per billboard?
Yes, the billboard ordinance specifically allows for each individual sign face to be 1,200 square feet per sign face, a maximum of 2 sign faces.
Got it. And then you had the freeway drawing where you had a blue dot or light teal colored dot close to a yellow dot that's already approved. Can you tell me a little bit about the yellow sign that's catty corner on the opposite side of the freeway?
Oh, certainly. If we can have that slide back on the screen. Just waiting. Okay. So it's super hard to see. That billboard is next to an existing self-storage facility. That one is actually subject to state redevelopment law. So that one, there's like a different set of rules that would apply to that. So that one, I'm not sure how much more information I can share without misspeaking in terms of those details. But that is a existing static image paper billboard that was originally installed when redevelopment agencies existed. So it was subject to a different set of standards.
And what's the distance from that billboard to the proposed site?
I'd have to do a quick measurement. I can get back to you momentarily about that. But that being said, one thing I do want to clarify is that the distance separation requirement, which is established by Caltrans, that only applies to billboards on the same side of the freeway. So it actually, the 1,000-foot distance separation requirement does not apply to billboards on the opposite side of the freeway.
Do we cite the California code in the ordinance?
Yes, we do. We relied on Caltrans as our basis for establishing the location requirements in the billboard ordinance.
Yeah, I always ask that because we've gone back and forth a couple times here on this commission about if it's only on the same side or on opposite sides as well. And I don't know if we ever got a definitive answer on that, but if you're saying Caltrans code currently is same side only. Okay.
Yes, understood. That question I know has been raised by the commission as well as other folks in the past. That is something that I reviewed closely with Ryan Sals from our city manager's office. I reviewed it also closely with our city attorney, Russ, who's been advising the city for, since really the beginning as far as the billboard ordinance goes. And they did confirm that that only applies to the same side of the freeway.
And last but not least, one question. It looked like the corner of the nearest residential structure was 219 feet from the very edge of that sign, if I read that correctly. I just want to confirm, because I know we have a minimum of 200 feet that the property has to be away. So it's in compliance with the billboard ordinance.
That's correct. The applicant provided a project location, so their site plan, which is attachment 3, does show that the nearest occupied residential structure is 219 feet away. So it is in compliance with the city's residential setback standard, which is 200 feet.
Just barely made it.
Yeah.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
Yeah, Chair Hamadi? Yes, sir. I just wanted, I think for the record, just indicate that the Planning Commission did receive a written communication. We had a resident that did take the time to submit a written recommendation to the Planning Commission, and if that person is here or watching, that communication was received by the commission.
I read it. Anyone else have any questions? No? Okay, we're gonna open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers?
Thank you, Chair. We have 2 speakers.
Please.
First speaker, Chris McCarver.
And this is the applicant, correct? Okay, just making sure that we're calling the applicant out first.
It's not on. I don't think your microphone's on. But it's not your fault. I don't know.
We can hear you. We just want to make sure that you get recorded for the record.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay,
a little bit up close to you.
sure. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Chris McCarver. I'm the Senior Vice President of Real Estate and Public Affairs for Branded Cities. We are the applicant. We are the company that signed an agreement with the city back in December of 2023 for the leasing of the property for the proposed use that we've been talking about tonight. Thank you. Just also wanted to say thank you to the staff for the time that they have put in this analysis as well. As staff had indicated, we have submitted an application that is in compliance with all of the standards that were outlined in the ordinance that was passed by the city. We had presented the city with a lighting study as part of our application, as well as a survey that showed the distances from the residential as was asked tonight as well. So we are here to answer questions and look forward to continuing through the permitting process and construction of the proposed signage. Thank you very much.
I have a question of the applicant, if we could, a couple questions for you?
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
If this proposal is ultimately approved, Are the sign owners' financial records available for independent audit by the city?
There, I believe in the lease, there is a right for auditing of the signs revenue, if that's what you're asking.
Yes, of the company's revenue, of the signs revenue,
Of the signs, yes,
signs revenue,
yes.
okay. Do any cities own digital billboards?
Across the country, are you referring
In
to?
Orange County?
You know, I don't know of other cities, what their regulations are and what they own and don't own. There are several, I'm sorry if I'm getting some feedback. There are governmental agencies that are looking to install billboards, signage, digital signage on their properties as well. Orange County being one of them.
Okay, and do they have advertising on their billboard?
They will, yes,
They will, and that's the County of Orange.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, who's responsible for the removal of the billboard if the owner abandons it?
The sign company, Branded Cities, is responsible for the removal of the sign.
Okay, is that in the agreement?
I would have to look to point to the exact clause, but yes.
Okay. Can the owner of the sign sell it to another party?
They can with a proper assignment.
Okay, and with approval of the city?
I would have to look at exactly how that works, Commissioner. But normally what happens is we would be notifying the city of that. And then there are, as I recall, there are some standards to which that assignment occurs.
Okay. Describe for us what the backs of the billboard would look like. All we see in your pictures is just a black. It's just black, so we can't tell, is it structure, is it what's exposed?
Oh, I understand. So you're talking about this, the back of the face, what the back of the faces
Yes.
look like? Sure. The back of the face is painted black, and what holds the face onto the structure is there are a series of I-beams and angle that hold the displays to the rest of the sign structure, and those are painted as well.
Okay. Is there a reason that you don't have something solid across the back connecting the two signs, the two billboards?
You know, we have not done that in the past, and the reason why is typically people don't want to have a flat face. People don't like to see a flat face on the backside that is just a nondescript, one color display on the back of it. They would rather have that be open so that you can see, kind of through it and above the display as well as you're looking from the backside.
And it is a V shape, and why is the V shape proposed in this as opposed to parallel panels?
Yeah, back to back. Yeah.
Yes.
The reason why is because we want to have the signs orientated to the I-405 freeway as closely aligned to the I-405 freeway as possible. The way to do that is to have a V-shaped design. So the back of the back edges of the display are orientated towards the I-405 traffic.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? I have a question.
Sure.
After the 30 years lease, is finished, will you turn that sign it off to the city? Or are you gonna remove it?
We would remove it at the end of the term of the lease.
So you will not give it to the city?
I don't believe there is I'd have to, again, I would have to look at the lease to give a 100% answer to that. I don't want to misspeak. I will say typically what happens is those are, the signage is removed. So whatever the lease says, we would adhere to those requirements.
Is your lease option to renew it or no?
Is there?
Is your lease optional to renew the lease?
There's
or
a,
no?
I believe what is in there, Chair, is to have just a flat term without an additional option.
So same as a house loan, 30 years and that's it, done.
Without refinancing.
Without refinancing. Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
I have one question. Go for it. As far as the maintenance of the property, I noticed, all the designs are beautiful. The sign looks great, minimalist, except it has the city logo on it.
Yes.
That city logo is right above city property. Right now, not a lot of people know it's city property because it's not branded. You put the city of Westminster's logo over that property, it's not maintained. Are you, as the leasee, worried about the maintenance of that property and the city not doing their job?
I'm not worried about the city not doing their job. I have been, I've had the privilege of working with the city through the leasing process, as well as through this permitting process, and I have no doubt that the city team is going to do everything that they are supposed to. I have no concerns about that, Commissioner. And as far as my understanding, the property is going to start to be developed by the city. I've heard through staff that tonight saying that it's still obviously subject to budgeting, et cetera, that obviously I'm not privy to, but it's my understanding that it is going to be developed, and I have no concerns at all.
Okay, just making sure. I mean, in the world of the planning commission, it's our job to make sure things meet city code, we're within zoning code, and when we're developing things, we want to make sure that we're moving the envelope forward a little bit as far as beautification of the city. And so what I'm seeing here when I look at this project is we're taking a T-bone steak and putting it on a garbage can lid because we as a city don't seem to have maintained that property very well. And you, as somebody coming in with a lease, we want to make sure that we're doing you right so that the billboard's presented to the public properly as well. So that's one of the concerns, I have, that the city really gets a hold of. Let's maintain that property, build the proper fencing, make sure we can keep people off of the billboard, number one, and to protect you as a, an operator or leasee, and also make it beautiful. If it's going to be a junkyard with, Mater the tow truck parked in a bunch of weeds, we're not having the right fit here. So I didn't know if there's any clauses in your lease that requires the city to maintain that property.
I don't believe there is anything that talks about the maintenance of the property. There are clauses that have to do with the maintenance of the signage and the repair of the signage, keeping it in good repair, et cetera. If there's anything that, for example, if there were to be graffiti on the cladding, that we would need to take care of that, and it's our commitment to do that. And so I think we will be working very well with the city on that. I truly appreciate your comment that we want to have the property in good shape as well. But I really do not believe that from our standpoint, from the company's standpoint, we have anything to be concerned about on our side.
Excellent, thanks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Another speaker?
Second speaker, Gary Yagazarian.
Good evening. My name is Gary Yegazarian. I'm a property owner for the adjacent property, parcel number 195-29103, which is currently zoned as residential 5, adjacent to the proposed billboard. One second here. As I understand, the recent zoning change that has taken place, which I understand the city has the right to do so, to pursue revenue-generating projects. However, the rezoning and proposed 90-foot electronic billboard within 100 feet of my residentially zoned property, not 219. There's no structure there yet, but it is zoned for residential, okay? So that will, it creates direct and substantial impacts, light intrusion, noise, loss of property, loss of privacy, and reduced property value. These impacts will result from a city-initiated zoning change, not normal neighborhood conditions when a public action places a disproportionate burden on a single residential property for a commercial use. It raises serious land use and liability concerns. The most straightforward solution for the city is to acquire my property at a fair market value as mitigation for the impacts it has created. I respectfully ask City Council to direct staff to engage with me on acquisition options so this can be resolved efficiently and speedily, quickly. That's what I have.
Would it be possible, Stephanie, if you could bring up your, the illustrate, I guess the area map? And maybe he could show us, maybe, actually, maybe you could show us where the, okay. That,
Storage facilities would be right here, 40 feet across the street.
okay.
If you're going for R5 to build 5 condos, for the city's construction.
Chair, you may want him to come back to the mic because it's not being picked up, anything he's just been said.
Okay, plus I can't see his hands either.
Yeah.
Okay,
There it is right there.
okay.
Okay, so you live in the apartments there?
No, I'm not associated with the apartments. I'm next to the apartments. Closer to the construction site than the apartments.
I'm sorry, what, our sound system isn't good and my ears aren't either. Are you south of the apartments?
I would be south of the apartments.
Okay, is that a house?
No, it's empty land right now.
It's what?
Empty land right now?
Land?
Yes.
Okay, so there's nothing developed, are you storing stuff there?
Yeah, I have containers on it and storing cars there and things of that nature.
Okay,
I purchased the property in 2019. It was a jungle when I bought it, so I cleaned it up, put new fencing in, put in road base, had it cleaned up, and I've been using it for storage basically. And at this time, looking at trying to develop the property, haven't done that yet, but I've looked into it with the city, and that's what my goal is ultimately. It'd be very difficult to develop that land and build condos there with the billboard right there and the city yard 40 feet away. I can imagine backup beepers, trucks, things of that nature early in the morning. Be very, very obtrusive to somebody that's trying to live there. If that answers your question.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your consideration.
Any question for the staff?
Can I have a follow-up with the staff on that? And so he stated that that property next to it, south of the apartments, and I think east of the proposed site of the city's property is zoned R5, is that correct?
That is correct. And one just note, we do need to close the public hearing as well if the public hearing is closed.
Okay. No more questions, right? Nothing? Okay, we'll close the public hearing now. There's no more additional speakers.
No more additional
Yeah,
speakers, Chair.
so we're gonna close the public hearing. Now we have discussion. You wanna ask us-
I'll start off. I guess a couple things. One, the Planning Commission's primary responsibility in this case is to evaluate the compatibility of the proposed billboards with the surrounding area. So that's what we're here to look at.
Correct.
The Planning Commission has basically four alternatives: approve as presented, approve with additional conditions, denial, or continue to a future meeting. And just to put it all into perspective, this is a large structure. It's equivalent to a 9-story building. Its sign face is 2,400 square feet for the two sign faces, and that's probably the square footage of many homes in Westminster. So it's a large structure. It's only, and in one case, it's, I guess, within 200 feet of a residence. So there are, we as a commission have an option to suggest additional conditions. And I noticed in the attachments prepared by the applicant that they did show the 80-foot versus the 90-foot height. Another option would be to reduce the sign faces. And so there's considerations for the Planning Commission.
You done?
Yeah, for the moment.
Any others? Any comment?
My only comment is that the city signed a lease agreement in 2023, and a billboard ordinance was put forth after that. So we have kind of cart and horse thing going on in my mind. I think that the public is gonna see this as like, well, we have a billboard operator that has these sign requirements, and then the city conveniently passed a billboard ordinance that meets all those requirements. You know, we have 200 feet from the nearest structure, not property line. And we're pushing it right now with this one at 219. And we now have, which didn't even consider, wasn't brought up by city staff at all, is we have an R5 zone property within 100 feet of that sign that potentially could be developed R5. You know, if that adjacent property owner sells it to a developer, they're gonna develop housing that's now going to be encroaching on the sign. We have a lot of questions here that we have to figure out before, you know, we can definitively say what might be the best thing to do in this case.
In my view, the structure of the 5 units is not there yet. I'm not gonna stop the city business for someone to, for a few years until they built. We have a business here that the city needs. It's good for the future. 30 years of money coming in at 62%. I'm a businessman. I know how cities should run their business. Looks for its best interest. I don't see that many complaints about besides only 1 or 2 people only. We sent 500 readers, right? It was sent out to most of the neighbors, right? I only see 2 people complain about this. So in my opinion, I prefer to have a 90 height so it's more visible above the freeway than 80. That's what I think.
Well, I think, Casey, you bring up a good point, and that is which should be considered first, the conditional use permit for the sign or the agreement with the city. And as a matter of fact, in 2017, I happened to be reviewing a upcoming city council agenda, and I wasn't on the Planning Commission at that time. And it was for entering into an agreement with a billboard company and the CUP had not been approved yet. And so I came to the council meeting and spoke and said, the Planning Commission really ought to have an opportunity to first consider the sign and to see if that's approved or not. And then if it is, then move ahead with a agreement. And the city council agreed, and that billboard was never built. It was in a location along the Garden Grove Freeway. So it's at this point, you know, we're into it at this point. The city council moved ahead. They didn't choose to meet with the Planning Commission to get our input on this issue. So we have to live with what we've got before us this evening. in keeping, Alan, you made a comment about the money. Well, the money really isn't our concern. Our concern is compatibility with the surrounding area. And so that's the question. It does meet the sign code. We received, two people spoke, or one person spoke in opposition, one person wrote a letter of opposition. I don't think they're within, maybe Stephanie, you could show us the area map again, the notification. There really aren't a lot of residences that received notification of this because it was the 500-foot limitation. The Planning Commission, you may recall that the Planning Commission recommended a 1,500-foot radius for billboards because they do impact a large area, and it's hard for people to really, I think, understand this without being notified. So we had recommended, the Planning Commission had recommended 1,500 feet. That didn't get really clearly transmitted to the City Council. In fact, I think the City Attorney said we couldn't have a specific billboard area notification distance, and so that was dropped. And so we're, although it can be increased at staff's discretion. So, and I think, Stephanie, is 500 feet the minimum or is 300 feet?
It's 500 feet.
500 feet is the minimum, so staff chose to go the minimum, and that may be the reason we don't have a lot of interest. So is the area map available? We can take a look at the notification, the map you had previously.
So the map is available on the slide.
So it's, okay, thank you. So it's you'll see up in the northeast corner, there's some residences. It's a little hard to tell, it's a little hard to tell exactly what's developed on the parcels, but there are some residences, but it's, the 500 feet really doesn't encompass a lot of residences. And that, again, that was the reason that the Planning Commission, I think, had suggested or had voted to include 1,500 feet to get out and get a larger number because of the size of these signs. And that didn't happen, so we're, again, this is where we're at. So, and again, we have an option, you know, we can reduce the height of the sign or approve it with a reduction of 80 feet to 80 feet, and we can reduce the size of the sign to 14 by 48 feet. That's a...
If you go down to 80 feet, I don't think it's going to be that visible by the freeway.
Well,
It's almost touching the bridge with 80 feet.
well, have you looked at the pictures in our,
I did.
in here,
I did
Alan?
about it, yeah.
It clearly, it's visible from the freeway. It's, the sign is not, the sign is not, I don't see any obstructions.
How leveled is the sign with the bridge? How high is above the bridge?
I don't have, Chair Hamadi, thank you for the question. I don't have the exact distance, but this is one of the renderings that was provided.
From here, I see the sign almost touching the fence, but on this side here, I see it above the fence almost. Is it just a photo?
Well, you can see the whole copy on the billboard, Alan. None of the copies obstructed.
The proposal is 80 feet, right?
The proposed billboard is 90 feet in height.
90 feet.
Correct.
The picture on this side.
Yeah.
Here's kind of where I'm at, just to let you all know. So everything about the billboard meets the billboard ordinance. It's got N1 zone, it's got everything and all the requirements that it meets. Now, in the spirit of it, obviously, we're going to recommend to the city council, and the city council is going to ultimately approve this or not.
Well,
So
I think our approval is final unless appealed.
is that true? Is this final, or is it, the resolution is we're making a recommendation that the city approve it?
Conditional use permits are within the discretion of the Planning Commission, so they would be, the Planning Commission is the decision-making body for CUP applications. But that being said, there is decisions are not final until the conclusion of a 15-day appeal period. So during that 15-day appeal period, any members of the public or the applicant may file an appeal in conjunction with a appeal fee, or a city council member may call it up for review. So it's all subject to the 15-day
I
appeal
don't see a
period.
problem with the sign, I really don't.
Well,
I don't see a problem with it.
Well, that's
I'm
be-
going to recommend to approval.
Well, but how close, how close do you live to that sign, Alan?
I drove every day I drove that
How
way.
close do you live to the sign?
Yeah, maybe,
A couple miles?
no, maybe a mile and a half.
Oh, you're
I
not,
drive every day on that freeway.
you're not going to see the sign.
See all the signs.
I think, again, we have an,
Next to it?
no, I even live further than you.
Okay,
But
but-
I'm concerned for the people that live around there.
I don't see that many people. I only got 2 people here.
I'm still concerned for the people that live around there. They don't really have an understanding of what this impact this could have.
Okay, we're gonna have a
So,
decision, I guess.
yeah, we're just different.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve this project. Any second?
I'd like a little bit more discussion before making any kind of motions, but that's just me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Stephanie, could you bring up that mailing map one more time? Thank you so much. That's the one I'm talking about. So if we look at number 2 on the map, so the number 2 with a circle around it is existing apartment buildings. Number 3 is a property in question that's zone R5, which has potential for development. We can't change that property to anything other than residential, correct? State law prohibits rezoning an R5 property to anything else but residential. You cannot downgrade a zone.
I'm looking at the city attorney for some clarification, but the applicant can initiate an application for a zone change. But city attorney, if you may further clarify.
Right, I think the misnomer is, I don't think the city could go in and do a down zoning, per se.
I don't think anybody can.
I
SB
think the
330 and
applicant, I think the
SB3.
applicant has the right, if they want to rezone it, can rezone it. If not, if there's housing issues, then it has to make sure we have compliant housing someplace else. Doesn't mean you can't do that. You just have to make sure you have no, I'm going to call it no net loss of availability of housing that could be built. Even if
Okay.
it may be someplace else, you've got to do that.
That's something I would want to have clarification on before I would want to move forward with this billboard, only because from the state law that I've looked at, and I'm not a city attorney, I was told, and Cal Cities and everybody else, you cannot downgrade any residential property. You can only upgrade. You can increase density, you cannot downgrade it from residential to industrial, you can't downgrade any residential property or change that zone. So I would like to have further clarification on that, because if that is an R5 zone property and it's gonna be built residential, this sign doesn't go in.
How long that property's been empty for?
I'm sorry, Chair Hamadi, can you repeat your question?
How long that property's been empty for?
It's always been vacant, so
How many years, do you know? Do you have an idea how many years?
for as long as it's existed. So there are no permitted residential structures on that piece of
So it might stay
property.
that way forever, we don't know.
But regardless, the point being, or my point being is, you know, we have some hypotheticals we have to think about. And the hypotheticals are, let's say that property owner sells it to a developer, and the developer comes in and wants to build, or wants to sue the city because they built a sign within a certain distance of their R5 zone property, and now the city's facing a lawsuit over potential issues because the zoning's too close.
How the city's gonna be sued if they're going by all the requirement?
Because there's an R5 zone that's only 100
That
feet
doesn't
away.
stop the sign in the code.
Again, we need to make sure, because if there's gonna be potential residential property
Okay,
that would be violating the ordinance in the future, we might have an issue.
I have a question, I'm not sure if you could answer it now. In the 500 radius, how many people live? What's the percentage of the people? How many?
I don't have that exact number in front of me. If you can give me a couple of minutes, I can look that up for you.
Please look it up for me.
Well, it would probably show the residences, but it's not going to show how many people are living in a residence.
Tells me how many residents, at least I have an idea, compared to 5 units to maybe 1,000 houses. No one came and spoke about that billboard.
Yeah, to me, my opinion is as long as it's safety, it doesn't harmful to the human being, doesn't have any accident, just approve it. But I suggest if we can have another structure, because I pray by the tornado or storm heavy, that might be flip the billboard away. So that's only one I concern about safety and health.
We have a lot of tornadoes in Southern California, that earthquake, man, earthquakes. That's what we gotta watch out for. So, city attorney, is there any future possible issues with that R5 zone property that's too close to the billboard? What's gonna happen in a court of law?
So they'd be entitled to build. I'm going to kind of look at Stephanie and Steve as far as the billboard ordinance is for them buildings existing within existing 200-foot. It's not going to preclude the R5 from building, even though they're going to be within the 200 feet, because they're after the fact, right? So they're not going to be subject to it. They will know, so the liability, if there's any issues, it's going to be potentially on the billboard, but that's if there's something happens that impacts the future residents of the R5 property. So if the city is analyzing the R5 when that development comes in and they meet all the standards, city doesn't have any liability for issuing the permit to allow it to build.
That is correct. Just to further clarify, the Assistant City Attorney, residential units can still be constructed on that residential parcel. It doesn't preclude, or approving and constructing a billboard does not preclude the property owner from developing it with residential units. But if there was existing residential units on the property today, it would apply in terms of the location setback requirements.
Well, there might be loss of value, correct? You're gonna build residential property that's gonna be blinded by the light, so to speak. So you have a loss of rents, you have a loss of damages. Is the operator gonna assume the liability, or is the city assuming the liability for any potential lawsuit? I don't know what the agreement is, we're not discussing that here, or it's not part of the packet, but
Throughout the night, the sign will be dim, right? Yes, please.
yeah, it's already, you can't bring him up, open hearing's closed.
Okay.
So,
You can respond, though.
If the commission is willing to allow the applicant to answer questions, the commission can, as a body, say, we have questions for the applicant, not opening up the whole public hearing, because the applicant's kind of a different animal.
Okay.
It's like asking the staff the
Okay.
questions.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
yeah,
Just a question, simple.
Thank you for the question. The answer is yes. The signage is dimmed in the evening hours. There is a requirement in the ordinance relating to how bright the sign can be. And, you know, we had supplied a lighting study which showed that we were below that. But there is it auto dims. And it steps down the way as it's in grades, so that it is not a big bright change from one time frame to another. So yes, it does dim in the evening hours.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the answer. Thank you. Okay, you were saying?
yeah, that's all in the packet, that's all part of the ordinance too. It has to auto dim, we had to approve all that stuff. Again, my biggest concern is that R5 zone property, even though it's not developed currently, there might be issues down the road, and we haven't answered those questions necessarily, in my mind, definitively about the liability and what could possibly happen, if the city's gonna be liable or not. It's not fair to landowners to reduce their value just to benefit the city. So if there's potential loss, there's a potential harm done to another property owner. I don't know, we didn't bring in the property owner of that apartment building either. Now, I don't know if the owner of the building versus the residents got notification, but if people don't want to move into those spots because the lights are too bright, that's an issue. So, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I don't have an answer on that R5 zone. It sounds like the city might be in the clear, as long as the agreement's good.
Correct, and I'm sorry, but I'm really, I'm trying to figure out how the city could potentially be liable. Because if they can still develop the property, they still have the right to develop the property. So, you know, I don't know, I think it's very speculative to say that there's a loss of property value we all may think that. We don't know, and we won't know until something happens and they go to develop it. And you never know what's going to happen in the future. So I think it's hard to
But
say
we have,
that.
we have rules in the ordinance that you cannot build the sign within 200 feet of residential property.
Existing residential. So
And there
that's
is
what
a
I'm saying.
parcel
They can still, he's not being deprived of his right to build the property, on that property, however he so choose, based on the R5 zone.
There could be loss. There could be diminished value, correct?
I don't know. There may be an increase in value. We don't know. We don't know, right? Weird things happen in this world, so we don't know if there is going to be, so I'm not willing to say there is going to be a diminution in value. I could say there could actually be
Right.
an
The answer is
increase in value.
we don't know.
Once he builds, but you can't, you got to do the flip too. You can't just say, oh, it's going to loss of property value. You don't know, because he may build something that actually increases the property value, that has somebody really wanting it. So it's both sides. You can't just say one or the other.
There's
We don't
millions
know.
and
It
millions
can-
of people
it-
that want to live next to billboards. I know that for a fact.
Or the freeway.
Called
You
Las
don't
Vegas.
know, you don't know what is going to be built there that may
Sure.
say, I've increased my property value
It's a small parcel.
instead.
I want to make sure that the city is concerned. Obviously, it wasn't brought up in the city staff report at all. That property in that zone was not mentioned until the owner of that property showed up tonight. It was not even considered in the staff report. So that's why I'm having this discussion now, because I think there is some weight, and you're right. We don't know, but let's ask the questions. That's what we're here to do. That's all I'm trying to do. Does that make sense? Great. Oh, I know. I was here when we had that debate.
And so they meet that requirement. In addition, the owner has had years to develop this property. There is no sewer, there is no utilities. I don't see it likely that it is developed at a cost that where he would recover his investment. I also, for 30 years, have heard the argument about property values being impacted, whether it's hillside development, ocean development. We heard it for 30 years. Residential properties have never been valued more than they are today.
Well, I mean, we actually had this discussion when we discussed the billboard ordinance. I'd rather live directly underneath the billboard because I'm not going to see the light. So I don't think there's going to be a lowering of the property value for the one in question on R5. I want to make sure that we're covered as far as liability in case that comes back on us, and whether that's put on the billboard agreement with the operator versus the city having that. I actually have more problem with the weeds in the property of the city than I do with the billboard itself, or even that R5 zone property.
I understand
But I'm just asking questions.
Stephanie, you got the numbers?
Yes, public hearing notices were mailed to 285 different addresses.
Okay.
Stephanie, those are residential, they're residential, commercial, industrial within that.
It's owners and occupants, so that includes any renters that are within 500 feet of the project location. So 285 different addresses received the public hearing notice.
But again, some of those are residential, some are just occupied by commercial or industrial uses.
That's correct. It's a
Okay.
combination of
Yeah.
residential plus commercial and industrial as shown on the public notification radius map.
Thank you.
Chairman, is your motion for approval still on the floor?
Still on the floor.
I'd like to second it.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Anderson?
No,
Commissioner Nguyen? Yes. Vice Chair Wolbert?
Yes.
Chair Hamadi?
Yes.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Can you please read the
Yes.
approval?
We have a motion by Chair Hamadi, seconded by Vice Chair Wolbert, for the Planning Commission to approve case number 2025-0232 and adopt a resolution entitled, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Westminster, California, approving case number 2025-232 for a conditional use permit to construct a 90-foot tall digital billboard sign with two 20 by 60 feet LED display panels located adjacent to the 405 freeway at 14301 Edward Street, APN 195-371-07 in the M1 zoning district.
The commission's action on this item is the commission's action is subject to a 15-day appeal period.
Thank you very much. We'll go to number 9. There's nothing. A report. Any reports? None. We go to 11. Any matter from staff?
Yes, there are several updates that I wanted to share with the Planning Commission. So as you notice, our principal planner, Ken Fichtelman, is not with us this evening. He is going to be out of the office at least through the end of this month, but he did want me to convey to the commission that he was able to look into several different items that were brought up at the last Planning Commission meeting in December, and he looks forward to sharing updates on all of those items and requests that were made by the Planning Commission. 2 additional updates to share. There is one vacancy on the Planning Commission. Applications should be submitted to the city clerk's office, and they will be accepted through February 18th for consideration at a future city council meeting, which is tentatively scheduled for February 25th. So there is one unscheduled vacancy on the Planning Commission. And then last, I do want to share that the city is undertaking a fairly large project for a citywide general plan update as well as a zoning code update. So that is tentatively scheduled to be presented before the Planning Commission for a public hearing in late February. But we do anticipate the project website as well as additional materials about that citywide general plan and zoning code update to go live fairly soon. We are aiming to have that go live end of next week, and as soon as that project website goes live, we will be sharing that with the planning commissioners. That concludes updates from city staff.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll go to number 12. Matter from Planning Commission. Include AB 1, 2, 3, 4 reports when required.
Yes, I have an item, Chair.
Please.
We received an email from Ken Fichtelman regarding an administrative approval of an 11,000 square foot 2-story structure on Beach Boulevard. I don't know, did you guys see that? And so, in my mind, just based on my past experience, that's a large structure. It was approved administratively. And I would like to get at the next Planning Commission just a written report regarding how the administrative development process works, what are the restrictions, requirements, and at what point does it switch from an administrative review to commission review?
Okay, we can certainly provide an update.
Okay, and if it's not, I would say if the next meeting is we don't have a meeting coming up in 2 weeks.
The next regularly scheduled meeting would fall on February 4th.
Okay, so would that be possible to get that by the February 4th meeting?
It would be more prudent to schedule that for the following meeting.
Okay, either the 4th or the following meeting? Or,
Correct, yes.
Pardon, I'm sorry.
We can certainly provide an update at the next available Planning Commission meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Just a couple of things. I also emailed city staff, Ken particularly, I think about 2 weeks ago. I noticed we'd spent a lot of time doing a conditional use permit for our friends at the Lavender Pickleball Court. And I was driving down Golden West and I noticed there's another indoor pickleball place that opened up in an industrial. And I asked Ken, hey, did they get a conditional use permit that I don't know about? And he said, no, they don't have one. So he's referred them over to code enforcement. And I think they're actively trying to get a conditional use permit, but I just want to let you know about my contact with staff. Also, just a quick note from this humble planning commissioner. Tonight, to me, was a little bit, I should say, concerning. And my concerns are, is what I kind of mentioned earlier about how the city council seemed to have approved moving forward with lease agreements before we even had established zoning and billboard ordinances. And it just kind of strikes me that all the exact necessary conditions for a zoning ordinance or a billboard ordinance just happen to match this one project, almost to the T, down to 19 feet. And to me, that's a little bit concerning. It seems like we're putting the cart before the horse here, and that just, what I can do under item number 12 is voice my concerns about that. So food for thought. Thank you.
Okay. I want to thank everyone in this room, staff, commissioners, attorney, for working with me. Tonight will be my last meeting. I'll be resigning, and I'll move to my next journey. Thank
We
you.
are
Okay,
sorry to
did-
hear that, but
Did we hear you correctly? You're resigning?
Yes. Yes, I am.
This is your last meeting.
My last meeting tonight.
Well, we wish you well in whatever you're going to be doing, Alan.
It was
Thank-
nice working with you.
Yeah,
and you're
thank
going
you.
out in style too. I mean, that's like one of the best ties I've ever seen.
You go to the next level.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. It's nice working with you guys. Okay, we are adjourned now. We're adjourned. Yep, I had to.
Stay healthy. You don't want to fly on the same plane.
Stay healthy and happy.